Okay, so for today, I realized when I was starting to think about, okay, so today is what we're doing. I realized that usually around this time is when we have two kind of options. One is a quiz game, really, not a quiz test, but a game kind of where we just practice. I will sign, and my nose is itchy. I promise I'm fine. But when you have a mask on all day, it's just like by the time I take it off, my nose is like, it's not there. Something's wrong. And it just gets itchy. It does this every time. So, anyways, we can either do a game where we just practice spelling, and not spelling, signs, everything. Or if you guys would prefer, we can just go ahead and do another kind of more information. The one I have next, I think, is emotions and descriptions. So like how you would describe someone and talking about feelings. We're going to really connect with ourselves, really think about how we are feeling inside. I do that with my kids every morning, and some of them hate it. I don't know if I've told you, but I had one of my students change schools because she moved or something. I have only 4 students, so I have a small class, which is actually kind of average for my school because there's only 4 6th grade teachers. The other 3 have 5 students, and then I used to have 5 until one transferred schools. So I only have 4 students, and one of them is a boy, and then the rest are girls.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but the best part is my boy, I had him last year for 5th grade, so he followed with me, and it was kind of funny because when he entered my classroom starting the year, he was like, again? And I was like, it's just like, well, we have a good connection. We have a good bond. But one of my favorite things about him is that like every day I have a emotions tracker. So you have to really think about, how am I feeling today? And being kind of honest with yourself and trying to really help them identify emotions and their feelings. Because a lot of times I feel if you don't have the language, it's hard to identify yourself and like how you're feeling. And I've been really trying to push because I have a few kids who really struggle with that. And I'm trying to get it. But my poor boy, every day he picks tired. And I look at him and I'm like, I'm tired too. Did I pick? Because like I have the colors, they get to color it. It's like this really cool, like little bars, and you get to color every day. And I just finally was like looking at his, and I'm like, dude, you have like 2 weeks colored in gray. He's like, I'm tired. I'm like, dude, come on, what else are you feeling? And he got so mad at me because I sat there and I was like, I raced like the latest day, not all of them, but I raced. It's like, tell me how you feeling today. He goes, I'm tired. I'm like, you have 7 other colors to pick, other feelings to pick. And I was like, you can pick red if you want. If you're mad, you can go red. That's fine. I'm calm. And I was like, okay. So I just always laugh. And I think about emotions. I think about him, and he just likes to be like, I'm tired. That's just an easy excuse for him. I'm like, boy, come on. I know you're tired. I can see it on your face. You can think of another one. So anyways, that's just like my little story. Because I love my kids to death. I call them my kids. If you haven't noticed, I will say my kids. I do not have children of my own. I only have my students, and those are basically, I call them my kids. I did it with my summer camp, and some people were like, how many kids does she have? And then I'm like, oh, no, they're not my children. And then they're like, oh, I was like, yeah, it's my summer camp group, or it's my school class. And they're like, oh, because they're hearing me say like all these kids, and they're like, it's a lot of children for someone. And I'm like, no. So anyways, my little story. Would you guys prefer kind of a game like practicing spelling, like me signing and you trying picking up? Or would you guys want to go ahead with like emotions and descriptions?
I think feelings, emotions.
Okay.
Other people, make your choices.
There's really only 2 of y'all, so y'all get to really make the decision. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we can
get with feelings. Okay.
Gillian doesn't care what I want to do.
Well, I was gonna say this, Katie, you were gonna be our tiebreaker. If they went opposite, I was gonna be like, well, then they'll be our tiebreaker. But since both of you were like, yeah, let's go, we're good with that. I'm like, no, you don't, because it'd be 2 against 1. You would lose. Okay. Anyways, so we're gonna first start with the sign for feelings, the actual sign for feelings. This is also for feel, but not in the sense of like actual physical touching. So like if I'm feeling like I feel the wall, or I'm feeling the table, or that that's a different sign. And I'll explain that in a minute. So the sign for feeling, actual like emotional feeling, is you're gonna have your middle finger kind of forward and you're gonna brush up against right and yeah, up in your chest and you go up, yeah. And that's feeling. If you're talking about feeling something, this is where it gets complicated, the word feel. Because you feel like, you can feel the dog's fur, you can feel the leaves, you can feel the frost, like the ice. And for each one, you'd almost do a different kind of describing of feeling. And again, all else fails is you can say the word feel, but spell the word. Sorry, not say, spell the word. But like, if you're trying to say feel, you can always just be like touch. This is like touch, or actually like touch it. So like right now I'm touching the table, like touch, foam. You can use that as kind of my iPad fell. It was holding my phone and it just decided, no, I'm not anymore. But touch is kind of one that just really kind of clears it. This is touch. This is more like talking about just the general, don't touch my things, that kind of stuff. So, but you can still use it as like feel. This is time for pet, the motion and the animal. So like I have felt like, blah. I love how I was trying to, my brain couldn't decide between 4 or 5 and it didn't vocally say it right and it didn't sign it right either. Both went kind of haywire, but I have 4 pets, something like that. So pets, the fist and the petting. So you almost pretend like it's your dog or your cat. And that can also
Gillian,
be kind of like.
You said that's the sign for pet, the motion and the animal.
Yes.
Okay.
So like pet the dog, oh, my pets. It's the same one, if that makes sense. Okay, so we have our feelings. We're always gonna start with happy. Because I'm feeling that right now. So happy is gonna be your both palms are gonna kind of come up to your shoulder and they're gonna go like this. Yeah, happy. And this is also how you would say happy birthday, which would be happy birth. It's your middle finger on your chin to yourself. Birthday. So happy birthday. Then we're gonna go to sad. There's a few different ways you kind of can do sad. Really the main one is sad. It's just open hands down, sad, because you're almost looking kind of down, dark, kind of sad. Another thing I think I've mentioned before is when you're trying to describe like a feeling, you want your facial expressions to kind of mirror that. So you're not going to say, I'm feeling happy today. No. Sorry, they're playing. But that's, I mean, I have seen kids do that and I know that's when they mean they're being sarcastic. It's when they're like happy, and then if you're feeling sad, you're not going to go sad. The sign for cry, which I've also seen for being sad, like saying I'm crying, I'm sad, is cry. And it's almost that motion of tears. Yeah. See tears coming down your face. Cry. Then we have mad. Oh, yes. Then we have mad. So mad's going to be that open C, but now spread out. And you're mad. You're in your face. And you want to really get that angry, mad face. You want to be like, pretend like you're in a play. You're getting into character. That's how I always say, like, I could do so well in like drama and plays because I just get into character like crazy. I'm just like, ah. So then there's also a sign for like, I'm blowing up. I'm so angry. I'm so mad. I'm going to explode. And I'm going to show you, actually, there are 2 of them. This one, it's like soda, if you remember. So your non-dominant's a fist. Your dominant's going to have the middle finger kind of not really in it, but looking like it is. And your pull up, and then you're going to go. That's a very complicated one, but I won't lie, it is a little fun. When you're angry and you're really just wanting to, it's kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. I can't believe that I'm thinking, oh, when I'm so angry, I'm like, oh, that's fun. But it is like, it's just such a dramatic sign because you're just so angry. It's like explosions. I always think of a soda exploding. And I actually wonder if that's where it comes from. Because if you think about it, here's the soda can. You open it and it just shoots out. Like you are just boiling angry. Then there's another one, which is the sign for boiling. Like I'm fuming, I'm angry. And this one, I'm going to stand up for this one because it helps to see this better. So you're gonna have your non-dominant hand like here. Your dominant is gonna be right here, almost like where your gut would be. And then you just feel it like, and then you wanna again have that I am boiling inside. So it's almost like you're actually like having a fire inside, like you are just so angry. So those are our angry signs. Now we're gonna go on to, and if I'm going too fast, I just drink a soda, so I'm really hyper. If that's probably, I'm like, I just thought I'd say, if I'm talking really fast, I apologize. I try to usually wait to have my like one day of like my one soda until afterwards, but right now I'm just like, no, I need this. So if you need me to slow down, just be like, Gillian, please slow down. Because I can really talk fast. I really can. So now the next one we're gonna have is excited. And so excited is going to be both your middle fingers. You're gonna still stick it up. And now it's like happy, but you're gonna kind of go opposite. So you're not going like this, you're going this. Yeah, excited. And you wanna go up. So see, up, yeah, excited. And when you do this, a lot of times you're like, I'm excited. Is that smile? Excited. I always love just kind of squinching up, going really, really fast when I'm really excited. The kids think it's funny. They crack up when I do it. They're just like, I have one kid who looks at me and goes, you silly, you crazy. Which this is the sign for like crazy. And which obviously I feel like that one's a good one. We all do that. We're like, ooh, she's ooh. So, but, and then we have Miss Katie, you just reminded me of a sign because what you're doing is a sign right now. And it just made me laugh.
I hope it's not a bad one.
No, it's not. Well, depending on the situation.
I live in fear of the bad sign.
I understand. Thankfully, it's not like an inappropriate one. It's just one could be really happy and one could be like real sad. So I'm gonna do this one real quick because she did it. And this can mean I missed you, like you would go missed you, or it can mean disappointed. So disappointed. And that's where, again, the facial expressions and really the kind of the situation, it will kind of help clarify that. You know, if a kid's been out all week, like when I had a few kids quarantine, when they come back, I'm like, I've missed you. And, you know, I'm not gonna be like, I'm disappointed in you. You've been out all week. Like, no, I've missed you. And then if a kid acts up and I look and I go, I'm disappointed. Like, yeah, so it makes sense. I just had to add that because I saw it and I was like, this is perfect. I don't think I've showed this in any of the other classes. So you guys got special treatment from this. Now we're gonna have calm, like chill. And so what it is you're gonna have your hands like this and you just bounce them back. I'm chill, I'm calm. And then let's see, we've done, upset. Okay, so upset is going to be, I'm gonna stand up again for this one because this one is kind of a motion one. Oh, sorry, this chair is squeaky. So you start here and you go upset, upset, upset. And you want to make sure you don't go like this, like go all the way down to your stomach. That's really more the sign for pregnant, like I'm pregnant. You do not want to be saying you're pregnant if you're not, but if you're just trying to say I'm upset. Upset's more kind of shorter and higher. Upset. Okay. What we'll do real quick is we'll stop because I know I'm just going through all of them right now and we need to kind of come back real quick. So we started with feelings. Can y'all remember what sign for feelings is? It's your middle finger. Yeah, I see it. Yes, feelings. Feelings. Then we had happy. Happy. And then we had happy birthday. I know that one, I'm just adding that because we did that one. Happy birthday. Middle finger, touch chin first, then to yourself. To like, yeah. Because this is favorite. This is birthday. Then we did sad. Sad. Ooh, excuse me. And then we did cry. Cry. Then we did our angry. Yeah, mad. I am mad. I've also seen him go up a little, angry. Both are really accepted. It just kind of depends. You know, some people might say I'm mad, some may be mad. Either way, you will see their eyebrows going down and that angry gotcha face, and you're gonna know, ooh, you may not be, I don't know if you're saying you're mad, but I sure know you're not saying you're happy. So you can pick up on those. Then we had our, like, I am exploding, like I am just so angry. And then we had our boiling. Yeah, I'm just boiling. And then we had, what was after that? Upset, I believe. Might have skipped one. Is that it? Upset? Oh, excited. That's right. I kept changing emotion. I flipped through them. I don't like going all straight, angry, like all of the sad ones all back to back. I like to try to flip every now and then. But excited. And we have chill, calm. And then I think we had upset. Disappointed / miss you. Okay, and then I think that was where we're at now. Okay, so now a few other ones are nervous. Nervous is easy. You just shake. But you know, when you're nervous, you always be like, look at my hands. Oh, look, I'm not steady. So that's kind of a helpful, easier one. Then we had, sorry, my dog, he whined, but he's fine. He's a drama king. He is. And I have a gate, and he's like, sometimes he's scared of it. And he's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, he's gone over it 20 times. You went over it to get into that room. So I'm not helping you. Like, he's a mama's boy. Anyways, totally not the point. So then we have, what was I gonna say? Oh, there was one I was gonna say, and then I lost it. Awkward. There we go. That's a fun one. So awkward is going to be 3. You're going to have 2, 3. You're going to have 3s on both hands. You're going to have them down, and then you go like this. Awkward. I know this one always, I'm like, awkward. I don't know. I just think it's funny. And I think it's because I've always took into that when I'm like, I'm awkward. I just look at people, I'm like, I'm awkward. So like, I just crack up when I see it. So that's just me. Okay. And then we had, there was another one. Oh, frustrated. There it is. So I know I got to slow down. I see you writing and I'm talking so fast. I know that's not helpful. So frustrated is going to be 2 B's and you're going to go frustrated. Yeah. And you don't want to, I mean, up, I've seen, like, I learned it as this up, but then I saw everybody else doing this. And I asked teacher, I was like, okay, I'm signing this. Is this right? And they're like, I mean, yeah, it's fine. I was like, no, be honest with me. Like, tell me, am I signing this wrong or not? Because these kids are staring at me like I have 2 heads. And they're like, more people do this. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. So frustrated, down, yeah. Tired, okay. So tired is going to be, you're going to have this kind of bent, and you want your fingers to go kind of not in your armpits, but like in front of them slightly, you know what I mean? And then tired, you go down. Tired. And like, it's almost, think about when you're tired, your shoulders slouch, like I'm tired. Yeah. Tired. I just think about like when you're just about to drop and you cannot stand up straight and proper anymore. You're just like tired. And then the sign for like sleepy. I know that's not really an emotion, but like, you know, is sleep and sleepy are the same sign, and it's sleep. And you make sure don't go out, because when you go out, that is a wolf. So you might be saying I am a wolf when you're trying to say I'm sleepy. And that I just can see being a very funny and awkward conversation to try to have to solve. So sleepy. And then we also have shy. Now, shy is one that does have another, like, you gotta be careful, because if you sign it one slightly different way, it's not a very nice word. It's not really one of the curse words. It's not really one of the big ones, but and I will say it because it is, because we are all adults right here. But so it's either you say shy, or you might be saying the whore. So I'm sorry, I had to say it. I feel like it's just, if I don't say it, you guys are gonna sit there going, what is the other word? What is the other word? And I just know I would obsess over it. So that's why. So this is shy. You're gonna have the back of your palm, like your fingers touching, and you're gonna come down. Yeah, shy. You do not want to come out. That is the word. You want to go shy. And you don't want to make, you don't have a big deal. You just kind of like shy. 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 I just always feel like that's better safe than sorry to tell people. Okay, let's see. Any other feelings we've got? Yeah, I'm going through my colors list that my kids have on their papers. I'm sitting there going, we have that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. This one. Do you guys think of any other emotions you guys can think of that are like, let's see, I'm trying to think of ones that are good, like really good feeling ones. Oh, well, I can give you guys the sign for sick. I mean, I'm taking it very literal that you're not feeling good. So, because I was like, oh, well, it's something you can be feeling. I was like, I guess you could feel sick. I mean, I know that's a thing, but so the sign for sick has, again, these two middle fingers. One's going to go on your forehead. Usually your dominant goes on your forehead. Yeah. Other one comes down to like your stomach. You can't really see, but sick. Sick. So that's that one.
So is that like where your kids like stand up in class and be like,
yes,
that's the, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite fun because then I sit there going, I go into panic, like teacher mom mode. Cause like,
are you going to throw up in my classroom?
Like I won't lie. I'm that, like, I told you guys, I call them my kids. I'm very protective over my students. Like I am like mom at school. I'm like, don't mess with my kids. I'm ready to go down with any teacher who tries to mess with my children. I'm like, don't. So when they get sick, I'm like, okay. It's like I turn into this non-existent mom mode that I have. And I'm like, okay, are you feeling okay? Do you need water? Okay, let's do this. And like my other kids are just like, uh-oh, she gonna throw up. They're more like, she gonna throw up and make a mess in my stuff. And they like clean their areas. I'm like, you guys, please. So that is the sign for like sick. Sometimes if they're trying to be more clear, they do the sign for throw up, which I know this is a great sign to show you guys, but I mean, it's come up. Throw up is throw up. Throw up. Very, very, visual. And I love when the kids will go, but they're being funny, not like when they're seriously like sick, but when they're just like, oh, I don't like that. Oh, and I'm like, I got some drama people. They're funny, but they are, ooh, especially my boy. He's one of the funny guys on camp. Like he's like the big man on campus kind of deal and really funny, super sweet. But like he will be so dramatic. Oh my goodness. But it's funny. I try not to laugh because I'm trying not to encourage him, which is where the masks really work well because he can't see me laughing. I'm just like, stop. But I'm sitting there like trying so hard not to laugh. I'm like, this boy's going to get me one day. So that's one though. Funny and silly. I know those aren't emotions, but they're good to know. So the sign for funny is going to be funny. If you're going to say fun, like that was fun, it's the same thing, but now your non-dominant's got two fingers down. Fun. Fun. Oh, excuse me. Fun. Silly is going to be a Y, and you're going to go silly. Like you're basically moving your thumb back and forth across your nose. You don't really like hit your nose, so don't be like smacking yourself with your nose trying to say silly. It's just in front. Silly. That was just a fun one to have. Like I'll look at my kids and I'll be silly, and then they'll laugh and look at me and go, "You're silly," and I'm like, "I know I am. I'm not shy of it." So, let's see. I think we can be good with emotions. Okay. Sorry, I keep forgetting that if I touch my phone and push it, which I have my list down on, my iPad is like, I cannot hold both of us, the iPad and the phone, and it keeps ready to fall and I have to grab it before it goes down. Okay. So what I'm thinking now is, let's see. We're going to do a little bit of descriptors. And we're not going to go too in depth of it just yet. And the reason for that is because I'm trying not to overwhelm you. And I feel like I really overwhelmed a lot of you guys with the feelings because I just kept throw. So we'll do a little bit of the descriptors. And when we're finished, I'm going to give you guys some extra opportunity to ask any signs that you guys would like to know or curious about. I think that would be a good way to kind of make this a little calmer because I know I'm just very intense right now. I get that way and I apologize for that. No, I don't. You know what? I don't because that's just me. So, okay. So for descriptions, like if you're describing a person, the first way, did I ever show you guys the sign for man and woman when I did family, like mom and dad? I don't think we did. Kind of important for when you're describing a person. So the sign for person, actual like person itself is person. Like this is just like the sign for body. There is no like it's not, that's not gender specific. No, that's just any person, anybody. What you'll notice later on is we do have one of the classes, I think in the meetings we do talk about like work, like jobs, and you'll notice a lot of times when we're saying it, we say the sign, like we sign the actual like thing, like if it's an artist, we'll do the sign for art and then we do person. So that's kind of how they do those kind of jobs. So but that's later on. Anyway, so this is person. And when you're doing this, you do want to kind of have it directional. So if you're talking about that person right there, you're not going to go that person like that. That's going to throw it off. Because what you do, it's really important is you don't realize when you first, because I didn't, is this whole area is setting your scene. So if you are describing a person and they are behind you, well, you can point behind you and then just pretend they're right here and describe it. That was a bad example. But if they're to the right of you and you're pointing and talking about the left, that person's going to go, wait, where were they? Your left or your right? Like they're going to ask you which one. So it's important to kind of follow where they are. For man, the sign is the same as with dad, so dad, and then you go down to the person. So man. Wait, because I see writing. Then we have woman, which is the same, mom, person. So mom, woman. Then I'm going to give you guys kid, because I mean, you could be describing a kid, you know. So the sign for kid is, y'all know what kind of like looking like a llama is. Or wait, no, this is rock and roll. There we go. Sorry. I'm like, I know. My mind goes, because this is like, I just think of like the llama song when I was a kid. We used to sing this all the time with this hand motion. And then like, I just wanted to say rock and roll is this. I'm like, this is not rock and roll. Don't know what happened there, but rock and roll. And you go pointer finger under your nose, kid. So kid. So we got man, woman, and kid. And that really is like the sign for child. Personally, this is more my opinion, is that I always tend to like with the sign for like child, like I'm looking for this child. I say more I'm looking for this kid. Because I think both would be, both would be accepted. Sometimes in English, we have specific words we use to sound a little more, I don't want to say professional, but in that sense, you know what I mean? We have a lot of more flower language where it kind of just builds and stuff. And sometimes in ASL, it just gets so complicated. I'm like, I'm just going to go straight to the point, which is that is really what ASL does a lot of, is they're very blunt. They're very straight to the point. This is blunt. So being it forward, blunt. That one's always a fun one. Real quick though, I love how I'm like, oh wait, gotta add this. Be careful when you're signing blunt. You do not want to go like this or like this. These are the BITCH for woman and male. So that's why. I just wanted to warn you, you want to go forward, you want to go blunt. You don't want to be going, oh, he's blunt. No, that won't work out great. So anyways, So that's how I just didn't use this for child and kid. That was kind of my big ordeal. Either way, they're going to know you're not talking about an adult. You're talking about a smaller child, a young adult, young kid. I can't describe English. English confuses it so much. Anyways, okay. So if you're talking about height, we're going to go height and weight first, which I know, what a great combination, but they are the best and easiest ones to start with. So for height, you really kind of want to base it off where you're at. So like if they are taller than you, you're not going to go, you know, they're this tall. You're going to go like here. You'll describe, like, that's kind of where you go, is you choose your height with the kid compared to the kid, the woman, the man, where you're at. Very easy, kind of to the point. So for weight, there are a few ways you can describe. One of the ones that always cracks me up is that technically saying the word fat in ASL is not really an insult, because like I said, they're being blunt. They're, you know, I always like how in English we'll say, you know, oh, she's just a little chunky, you know, she's a little hefty, she's, you know, fluffy, she's full, you know, whatever. No, and I said that no, she's fat. And there's not even a negative concept. It's just saying she's bigger. And so to say fat, oh, I'm sorry, this chair does not want me to back up. You would just go fat, like, you know, big. And when you say like this is more like, you know, like average, she's a little chunky, a little, this is our kind of description of chunky, but it's still saying big. If you were to be really rude, which I'm sure you guys won't, but I'm just saying, if you saw someone say this, that way you can be like, oh, I know what she said. When they go like this means like she's really fat. She's really big. So I know, I love what I said, it's not used for an insult, but I mean, it can be. Like, it can be. If you were to say skinny is two pinkies and then they touch and then you pull up. Skinny. And a lot of times when you do it, your face, your cheeks are gonna go, like, you know, when you're like, she's skinny, like you're sucking your cheeks in because they're so thin. Most of the time for like normal weight, normal size, I don't really see a lot of people saying something like, oh, she's normal weight. No, it's only really if there's someone that's actually like still a little chunkier or a little skinnier that they'll use those for. So, okay, now on to hair. Hair's a fun one because there's so many different options. Which again, all else fails, finger spelling. If you're trying to be like, oh no, I have to be specific, she does not know who this person is. He found a cardboard box that hid behind the trash can, so he wouldn't chew on it. Give me 1 second. I thought it was smart to put it there, and he's literally obsessed with cardboard boxes, but then they make him sick, and then he wonders why he's sick. I'm like, that's him because he chewed on cardboard. I'm like, stop chewing on the cardboard. I'm sorry. I told you he's a drama king.
It's like that scene in Christmas Vacation where the dog's under the table and
that is my dog when he chews on cardboard, and I'm just like, dude, how do you not know you're doing this to yourself? Like, he's fine, but like I go into panic mode because I'm like, oh my gosh, are you dying? Like, oh my gosh, do I need to call someone? Like, and then he just sits there like, I'm okay. And I'm just like, so I'm like, I try to be very like, don't chew on it. I know you want to chew, but you need to stop. So anyways, when you're describing hair, all else fails is you can finger spell to kind of help. But like, this is the time for hair, obviously. I realized I saw you guys copy and I was like, yeah, I guess I should clarify. This is the time for hair. When you're describing length, you again do how you would kind of think you would. So like if it's short hair, you would go short, long, like mine's really long. So you can't even see where I'm ending because I got really long hair, but you're kind of, that's how you would describe your hair length. If you were describing, my mind keeps wanting to say, I have to show you guys this one, but like this one, it could have waited, but I'm gonna show you guys now because my brain's like, no, we can't move anywhere. It's time for bald. I don't know why. I think I just love this sign. I think it's really funny. And I hate that I think it's so funny, but I'm like, it just is to me. And it's your middle finger again. Then you spiral on your forehead. And I don't know. I guess I just think about the image of a light hitting a bald head and then it just kind of glows and just the spiral of it. It makes me laugh. And I hate that it makes me laugh. I'm like, I feel that's so judgy. And I'm like, I can't, but I do anyways. And I hate it. For hair color, you did not stop. Sorry, the little one decided to get a cardboard now. She's trying to chew on a piece of cardboard. Anyways, sorry. So for hair color, you would want to go hair color. You wouldn't want to go hair and then just start, you want to kind of clarify hair color. Brown, which I mean, yeah, brown. So this is brown. For red or orange, I mean, I think both are accepted in the sense of like, if you're talking about ginger hair, like you would just say red or orange, either way. Because no one's gonna look at you and go, that's strawberry blonde. Like, no, at least not what I've seen. Maybe they will. I can't guarantee for everyone, but I've not seen anyone do that. So, and then we have blonde. So the actual sign for blonde, it's the Y and you go down. And I was thinking about yellow because I know really we call it blonde. We don't really say yellow, but I mean, it's yeah. I always feel bad when I'm like, oh yeah, it's yellow. Cause then I have like some friends who are blonde and like, it's not yellow, it's blonde. And I'm like, but the sign is yellow. Like the sign has got a yellow in it. There's a Y in it. So then we have, let's see, black. So black. And then I'm trying to think of more the generic colors you would see rather than the fun colors. Cause like right now, I usually have purple in, but it's faded to blue. So that's why I'm like, we don't need to talk. The fun colors can be when you see the color video. But I think those are really the 4 major ones. I'm trying to think. Gray is gray. Oh yeah, it's like it's gray. Yeah, this is machine. So that's why it's very easy to confuse. So like gray. I see more gray where you go back and forth. Yeah, gray. I don't really see white, because I guess we don't really. No, because we would say if we're talking about someone who's got like salt and pepper hair, that's what my mom likes to call it. I think that's what everyone does, but like she always said, I have salt and pepper hair. So it's just black and gray. We don't really say black and white. So we'll not do that. Let's see. Trying to think of there was a color and then it went away. I can't, anyways. Okay. Sorry, I'm sitting, I'm like, nope, I can't remember the color. So when you're describing the kind of hair, if it's just kind of straight, you just kind of like straight, it's just straight. A lot of times you don't really always I've not seen people describing, the hair is straight as much. That's almost like how with weight being like the norm, you know what I mean? In the sense of like, that's just kind of like, that's assumed unless told otherwise. If it's curly, like real curly, you would do a C and you go curly. Curly. For wavy, you go wavy. Yeah, wavy. And this would all be after you said hair. So like, for example, if I'm saying, oh, that woman right there, her hair, it's brown, she's got curls, that's when you kind of are expanding it. It's not like you're going, oh, her curls, like, no, you would have to first be like, oh, her hair. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other hairs. Because I mean, with short hair, really, again, I know it's not like, I mean, oh, sorry. I know a lot more people are all having longer hair, but still, like if you're talking about a man, most of the time they'll say short. So if it is longer, that's when you'd also want to describe longer hair. So Okay, sorry, I have like an eye booger. It like just hit my cheek and it was really cold and very weird. And that's why I was like, whoa, I don't like this. So, okay, now we're gonna move on to glasses because all three of you guys have glasses and it hit me all at once. I need to show you guys glasses. So the sign for glasses, it's gonna be like you have your little C, glasses. Glasses. You can do both. I've seen one. A lot of times this is better for clarity, like glasses. And that's again where you would describe the color again. So like red, black, white, those. Okay. So then we have like jewelry for rings, like especially engagement and wedding rings. You pretend like you're holding a ring and on the finger. Yeah. It can be this. I always do this. I don't know why, but I do. That can also be for really any ring. But like, obviously, so if you're talking about just a ring, you're not talking about an engagement ring, and it's a big deal. If you're talking about, if you end up saying engagement ring, you wouldn't use your left ring finger. If that makes sense, that's just kind of a little, I don't want you being like, oh yeah, she's got that ring on her finger. And then someone's like, oh, she's engaged. Oh my gosh. Like, gossip spreads, you guys. You got to make sure you're not making up rumors. So, which I know you guys wanted, but like, anyway, so for earrings, you do earrings. For necklace, I see a lot of necklace, like necklace. And you don't, and make sure you're not going, like, you really want to kind of like pretend like you're making the chain kind of deal. Yeah. For bracelets, I see bracelets. It's your middle finger and your thumb again, bracelets. For a watch, because that's a big one, is you have like, you can always do time, like, and do like the circle, like a C for like clock and time. Let's see. Any other types of jewelry? I'm trying to think. If you have any facial piercings, which like, you would just do like, you would describe them kind of like this, she's got her eyebrow pierced, got her lip pierced, nose pierced, those kinds of things. So really you can gather, okay, this is kind of all similar. All right, let's see. Now we'll get on to clothes. No, we're not. Actually, I lied. Sorry, because that's a whole like thing in itself. And that I said we were going to go short. We're not going too in depth. And that is a good place to stop, because if we go into clothes, there's stripes, there's polka dots, there's dresses, there's vests, there's everything of clothing. And I'm like, I said we would stop. So, okay. Now what we'll do, are there any signs or words you guys are like genuinely like curious of? I mean, even if you're like, well, I know we're going to learn this later, but like, I want to know it now. Now just go ahead.
Okay. I'm always thinking about if I have someone come in the library and I have to have a conversation, is there a way to describe genres, like words for mystery or fantasy, romance, comedy, fiction or non-fiction, or would you just spell it?
So for me, I would always spell, but a lot of times, I've not really had experience with having to worry about that, especially for adults. You can just fingerspell and they will understand. I have not really seen signs, but I've also never asked about them, because a lot of my kids just know what they like anyways. Or if not, then I'll pull out the book and I start kind of describing it and acting it out. But that's more for my children. That's my kids. So
I mean, I'm totally not above acting out a murder mystery behind the desk to see if that's what they want. I'll do it.
I love it. Yes. Yes, that would just be great. Oh my goodness. For fiction and nonfiction, you could say fake or real. I would always still kind of spell them out just to be safe, but I will still give you guys the sign for like fake and real. So the sign for real is this. It's a point finger and it just goes up, real. This is also true. Like that really happened. That's true. So this is also really as well. Like I love when I'm like, that's when you know there's real gossip, and someone goes, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like that happened. Oh, it's great. And then we have like fake. And so fake is going to be fake. Yeah. So you notice how like true is going up, like it's coming from the word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think I used that phrasing right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sitting here questioning it. That anyways, not important. That's coming out of my mouth. That is true. It's true. And then fake is just across like fake. But always the best case is just finger spelling. Let's see. Yeah. I was gonna tell a story, but I'm gonna wait. You guys, do you have any signs you guys can think of?
Oh, this after we talked about the food signs last week, I don't think we did hot dog. And I was talking to my kids saying they had hot dogs for lunch. And I was like, okay, how would I say that?
Yes. Okay. So you know what's great is my school also had like, we had corn dogs today, but I mean, that's pretty much close enough. So like, that was a whole fun topic to have. So the sign for hot dog is you have an open C in your non-dominant hand, and it can be a little smaller, like very smaller. I think of like, imagine a hot dog bun.
Yeah.
And then hot dog. One finger, hot dog. Yeah. Hot dog. It's like my favorite one. Don't know why, but I just think it's so funny. Hot dog. And then because we did this taco, I see a lot of times for taco. It's the four, because like I always think of the layers. You got your meat, your cheese, your lettuce, and your sour cream. Taco.
And hot dog.
Oh. He's not happy I'm not giving him enough attention. And so he's like, I'm going to cause chaos right now. Because that's what he does. He just keeps walking by, like he nudges me, and then I'm like, I can't give you love right now. And he's just like, I'm gonna cause something. I'm gonna make something go messy. Yes, he's so angry. And I'm like, so you're gonna have to wait. So any other signs you guys can think of, or like are just curious, or any questions about deaf culture too?
Gillian, do y'all have kids that will be at the school for a while and then go on to a public school or a private school where they're integrated with all other populations of kids, or do they typically follow all the way through?
So a lot of times that does depend more on parents, because it's not like our school is a set up school where it's just for like, if you are struggling, here's this, and we're going to help kind of catch you up until you can go to public school. It's not really like that. I'm trying not to get on my soapbox, but I probably will, because this is kind of it's interesting. But because
No, the reason I asked that is not because, not that they would need catching up. I'm thinking of the parents that are far away that would, like, if I couldn't be there, would there be an ability to be like, okay, now we can go to a different school where you're closer to home? That's really kind of what I was.
So a lot of parents think like that. They do, because I have a lot of parents who always concerned. They're just like, they're just so far away. That was actually one of the reasons why one of my students had moved, was because her family lives so far away, and they were just like, this is kind of,
I would die. I would be I would miss my kids so much.
And see, and I totally understand that. And I'm like, I can understand and imagine that's hard, especially for like our younger kids. Like we have a few that stay in the dorm during the week, and they're like 6 years old. And I'm like, I, as a mother, would die. But the one thing that we always are kind of like, I tend to be kind of always a little hesitant with when going to like to a public school, sometimes going back to a public school. And I'm not hating on public schools. I promise I'm not. Like, it sounds like I might be, but I'm being honest. Is that you got to be careful with which public schools, and really know if their deaf education program is really doing the best they can. Because you will have some, especially in an area there's just not a lot of deaf kids, there might not be a lot of support. And I've seen kids who have come to my school because their school was like, we've done all we can, and we think we recommend transferring to the AST. And I had a few kids like last year who recently came, and it was hard. It hurt looking at them and realizing how far they had been behind because their public school was just not able to provide everything for them that they really needed. And a lot of times it can be challenging for kids to really get that socializing because they're very isolated. Now, some kids who are hard of hearing, like they might be able to have more opportunities. Still, we're going to have that little bit of isolation problems, but it might not be as severe, but they're still always going to have those issues. And like, especially one of the biggest things that my school is kind of very frustrated with is sometimes with public schools, the school system themselves are very kind of clueless on deaf education. And one of the biggest things I'm always kind of saying is, yes, you're providing an interpreter in the classroom. Does that kid know ASL? Because that interpreter they're not certified teacher, they're certified interpreter, which means that there are some words, like I've said, there are some words you just fingerspell. If that kid does not know how to read or understand spelling, they're not gonna understand that word. And then they might become stuck. So like if they ask the interpreter, some interpreters will kind of help support a little more and be like, we'll kind of explain a little more than they can. And then some are like, I only say what the teacher said. I only sign what the teacher says. And so they might have, and then some kids just don't really realize, like, I don't know this. It's going over my head. Like I'm losing all of it. And they just kind of keep going and they fake it till they make it. And I will tell you, deaf kids are really good at faking it till they make it. Like, oh, I sit there and I'm like, do you actually know this? And then I'll test them like, no, you don't. You're acting like that. Like, I mean, like I've heard, like people will tell me, they're like, deaf kids learn and know how to fake it till they make it. They can do it on tests to make you think they know what they're doing. And they're just like, I have no idea. I just picked up on what I've seen. And so they're smart. And, but I had one kid last year who couldn't answer like WH questions, like, who am I? I asked him like, who am I? And I mean, I was pointing to me, I was like, who am I? And his response were thumbs up, or shakes his head, no, yes. Like, I mean, he was clueless. And then we had, like, I'd give him some paperwork, like papers we're gonna work on together, like writing, and he would just scribble and give it to me with a smile. Like he wasn't being, trying to test me or anything and just give me a paper to be like, I'm being funny. No, like he really was like, I did my work and gave it to me. And I looked at it, I was like, and it was awful. I had to be very strict with him because I knew if he thought he could get away with stuff like this, that was not going to help him. And I looked at him, I was like, no, this is wrong. All of it's wrong. And he's like, sitting there like, what? And I'm like, you need to fix this. And he had to erase it. And then he would write stuff again. I'm like, stop writing. Do you see all of them? No. So it can be really challenging. Like I always say, it depends on the situation, depends on the family. If a family is really motivated and really being involved in the deaf community, like they are learning ASL, they're taking the time to really learn and understand, talking with deaf adults and talking with them and asking them questions. I know that there's something called early intervention services, which you get from the child, like the child receives from age 0 to age 3. And they have it where they will have a deaf mentor. Like I believe I'm trying to remember how it works, but basically they will like assign you with a deaf person and they will help explain and kind of really help the parents understand.
Okay, so I'm always curious about how things like this work. Is that a program that maybe your pediatrician would know about? Like, how would you find out about something like that?
So
we actually had early intervention services help one of our children had a speech delay, and they came to our apartment that we were living in, and it was our pediatrician hooked us up to them to get them to come help.
See, I'm just always wondering because as a librarian, I think that's probably something I need to know about, or our children's department needs to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, okay,
as far as wanting to be another place for information.
Yeah.
But I mean, I assume it would be a pediatrician or like a audiologist or a speech therapist or somebody that, and I guess with Facebook, you would also go on and be like, look for groups.
And I know with, I'm sure, when they tested the hearing and, at the schools when our kids were
Right,
little
yeah,
too.
that's
So that might be another way that they could
like
connect.
they need to test hearing at offices. Every single person, we are all going deaf. I swear to you.
And see,
So they need to do the reverse, like take all those people into office places. Be like, all y'all need hearing enhancement.
yes, I agree. And yes, most of the time you can get it from your pediatrician. The only thing, and I'm trying not to be a negative Nelly, I'm really not, but I have seen situations, and I just like to help be aware of it, is especially with audiologists, not all are bad. I do not hate audiologists. I'm trying to make that clear now. We just have sometimes some disagreeing opinions. My dog is deciding she's barking at the dog across the neighborhood. So she's just, you can ignore her. A lot of times audiologists tend to they put on this like balance beam. Okay. She came into the kitchen. I'm sorry. Let me let her out real quick. Maybe she'll shut her. There, hush. Okay. There we go. She needed to go bark. But as I was saying, is a lot of times with audiologists, sometimes they do tend to be trying to really encourage more cochlear implants or more of the speech therapy. Nothing is wrong with speech therapy. I think I've said this before. I'm not against speech therapy. I'm for total communication. And obviously it is the parent's decision of what's best for you and your family situation. The only problem is sometimes when like I said, audiologists will kind of put up on a pedestal, well, we have this new technology that's the cochlear implant, and and it really helps.
Oh, they're not learning ASL.
Then they'll be like, oh, I mean, and there's ASL. They kind of put it down, and parents don't always realize, hey, wait a minute. And a lot of times, I think parents sometimes are not always given the most equal information. And so sometimes they'll have these misconcepts. Like, I think I've said this before, like with a cochlear implant, you take off your cochlear implant, you're still deaf. You are now actually profoundly deaf and cannot hear at all. And I mean, some parents are like, I didn't know that. Or the biggest thing is about with speech, like a kid can learn speech. That's but if you start after the age of 5, it becomes a lot more challenging, and it's really not always as successful. The chance of success rates are very low because the brain, I'm getting into the scientific part of this, you guys, but the brain's plasticity, like the flexibility of like being open and learning new things, is really, really flexible from age 0 to age 5. And so when you go past that age 5, it becomes hard. That's why they say it's always good, like when you give the kids like 2 languages from age 0 to age 5, they can learn that as really 2 native like languages. And so you can have some kids whose parents would be like, well, we're going to have her try to get fitted for a hearing aid at age 12. And I'm like, but you guys realize when you've not done this until she's 12, when she starts her speech and hearing aid therapy, she will technically be at age 0 because she's never recognized, she's never noticed these sounds. And a lot of parents don't realize that, because I feel like a lot of times, sometimes with our medical professionals involving with audiology and stuff, they tend to kind of really put up cochlear implants and hearing aids, because yes, they are, they're very advanced technology, but I've always feel you can't hurt with giving them ASL. If you give them sign language first, and then you go and get the cochlear implant or the hearing aid, what's the worst you're going to do with ASL? Nothing. You're still going to have, your kid's still going to have a language. And it's actually like science research, like research is done, and so that ASL can actually help encourage speech. So, but that's why I always get so, sometimes with like audiologists, they're going to be more about the scientific part of like, there's cochlears, there's hearing aids, and pediatricians, I want to think, because obviously I don't have a child myself who I've had experience with, and I don't really know close of any. I want to think that they would be very like, okay, here are your options, especially for a kid who is actually like, who is deaf. But sometimes parents just don't, they're not getting enough information. And I really wish there was more pamphlets that were kind of given to help. Because I think some parents don't even realize, oh, I have that early intervention services. Like some doctors are really good about, you have this, you can use that. And then some might mention it, but they might not explain how much, because those can be really beneficial, especially if the kid, because early intervention services can help the parents learn ASL, like finding ASL classes. And a lot of times, like my school system, we offer free ASL classes for parents. Like if you are in direct, like if you are their guardian, you can have ASL classes to learn for free, I believe. Yeah. And so it's just a lot of options, but a lot of people don't know, so they don't take them up. And it can be challenging, but I have seen kids who are in a public school system who are deaf and their family has learned ASL and they have a very positive support system at the school. One thing that's always nice is trying to have other deaf kids that can meet and talk with your kids so they can really be around others who are also deaf to get that exposure as well. Because I always think, I'm like, like deaf culture is a big thing. Deaf identity is a big thing. And I think sometimes kids really, especially when they're in teenage years, they will struggle with, well, why am I different from everybody else around me? And a lot of kids, we do have issues. They have problems with, they can't recognize their deaf identity because their family is all hearing and they might have not learned ASL. And they're like, well, why can't, I'm not, that inclusion, it's so complicated. It really is. And like, so, but we do have some parents who do, like, back on to like this whole big tangent, but back on to what you were saying, we do have some parents who will say, okay, well, we're going to transfer back to the public school. The only concern sometimes can be with that is that all that progress you've made can sometimes kind of either not make any more or it can go down. That's always a big concern because our kids are, especially if they're severely behind, which is kind of a norm. Like if I remember that correctly, the research, and this might have changed now because it's been like 3 or 4 years since I had this class, that like on average about all like deaf kids are about 2 grade levels behind their actual grade. So, and that's more for focus like on English and like math. And the reason science and social studies is because science and social studies can really rely a lot on reading, which is English. So, and that's not always, that's just kind of the average. We are noticing more and more different, like this is their age, this is where their level is. And it's always concerning when you have kids like those who go back to public schools because they need a lot more services than they're given. An interpreter is not going to be helpful with some of them. And they really need more socialization and talking with peers because that's how they're going to pick up on more things and really try to broaden and help. So, but I mean, again, like I said, it's always parents' decision. I'm not trying to say it like, the deaf school is better, but it can be for some kids. It can be a lot more beneficial. And I understand the parents' concerns of being like that is far away. I have a few parents actually will move. Surprises me when they say they moved to Talladega because Talladega is so small. I'm like, I moved to Pell City. I'm like, you can move close and stuff because we have buses that go everywhere. So, but yeah, I hope I answered it. I know I went on a whole big spiel. I know
no, you did. I think it's really interesting just to think about how things work. Like how do you make that work? And I was really just curious if parents sent their kids starting when they were very, very young, expecting them to go all the way through, or if you had turnover, I just, I totally get it.
There are some that do come in through the starting of like kindergarten, they say, all through 12th grade.
Like a Mollering at the JCC. They go all the way.
And see, there's some kids, and we have a few deaf parents who have deaf children themselves, and they go all the way through, obviously. And we have, but a lot of times it's always interesting. We'll have some kids. I mean, we always have new kids coming, And it's not just like, when like at public schools, like here and stuff, oh, well, my family and I moved, or, oh, well, my private school didn't work out, so we're coming to public school, or my public school didn't work out, so we're going to private school. So I've noticed a good amount of times, like there is, more so for ASD, it's because they're not getting the help they need. They got to come here to get some help. And so, but we've also noticed when I talk with teachers, a lot of times when the kids do, if their parents do take them out to try to get them help, they come back because their public school cannot provide as much. And there's nothing against the public schools. I mean, public schools have like 1,000 kids in some areas to worry about. It is very challenging if they have just one deaf kid. And yes, I wish it was all, well, everyone's got, gotta be treating everybody, but again, realistically, and I hate that, such negative stuff, and I hate it. I sit there and I get so, so it's just how it is. And that's why I'm like, this is why I like teaching this ASL classes. I really try to give you guys more information about deaf culture and ASL, like in the deafness proportion, so you guys can really be like, oh, okay. Not so you'd be like, well, you gotta see my side. You gotta see my, I'm like, no, we don't have to agree on everything. It's more, okay, now I have all the equal information. I understand it better. Because that's what I did with my mom. Because I told my mom when I was taking the classes, oh, you guys, you should see me. I was such an angry student. Because I'd be like, oh, I can't believe I'm reading all this. And my mom's just like, what? And so I would explain everything to her. And she looked at me, and my mom's a smart cookie. Okay. She works with lawyers, and she's got that whole finesse with like English down. And I've always been clueless on English. And I've just always thought, I literally thought my mother was like, she knows the whole thing of the whole world. Like she knows everything. That's just been my assumption with her. Anything besides social studies, my dad does the history. He's the history one. And my mother's all everything else. So when I was telling her all about this, and my mom's looking at me going, I didn't know about that. That was such a, oh, okay, wow. And so I've explained it all to her. And now my mom's she notices things more now, I've seen, especially with I'm working here. She's very, wow, I can't believe that. Why didn't they do this? And I'm like, because they didn't know. Like you didn't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So just being able to identify it makes you look at the world differently, for sure.
And sometimes I feel, because some of the kids I see at our school system, sometimes they kind of are like, they're going to talk, they're going to meet with other hearing people. It's not like they're never going to meet a hearing person. And I do the same thing with them, is if they ever come up to me, they're like, I just feel hearing people hate deaf people. I had one kid, not my student, but one kid say that to me. I was like, no. Wait a minute. They do not hate you. They just don't know. Because I'm trying to be like, don't hate and get angry. Try to help them understand. Because that's such a big thing, is that a lot of hearing people just don't realize, because it doesn't involve them directly. There's nothing wrong with that. That's human nature. So that's why I'm very like, if you want to ask me whatever question you have, I'm not going to judge you and get angry with you, because I know it's coming from a place of I'm actually genuinely curious. I don't want to be offensive, but I want to know this so I can understand better. And that's why I try to tell my kids, I'm like, if they're acting this, it's because they don't know how. And don't get angry with them. Try to help them understand. Be patient, slow, and stuff. And they're kind of like, oh. And because biggest thing I always say is, I looked at her, it's like, I'm hearing, don't mean I hate you. She's like, no. I'm like, right. So I was like, and there was a time when I didn't know too. So I'm getting.
That's why we're so lucky to have you, Gillian.
I know. I told you I could get on a soapbox about this, you guys. I'm very passionate about it. I won't lie. Like,
I know. I think it's awesome.
So
we're all the better for it. So,
but it is now 6:40, so I will. Because we're not.
Yes, I gotta go feed Henry probably.
I always forget when you said Henry. I was like, I also need to feed Henry. My dog Henry, though.
Yeah, my Henry hasn't been eating cardboard boxes, so I agree. Okay, well, when I get in tomorrow, I will upload this video and do a vocab list and save it as a PDF this time. And then I'll send it out. So y'all have a great week. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you, you guys.
Alrighty. Bye,
Y'all next
Janet.
Tuesday.